No intro music. I was actually live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are to the right there. No intro music. I was actually live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are wait. The audio to the right there. The audio to the right there. You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's working. Right there. You hear me?
Yeah.
It's working. Right there. Is it looping the same thing over and over again? Or no?
I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, just let me know.
Then we're good.
Yeah, good to go.
Yeah, we're good.
4 p.m.
Cool.
Shall we?
Shall we? Let's go.
So, hello, Santana Bellas.
What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. How's your day? How'd you start it?
Pretty good. Had some meetings, had some tea, relaxed a little bit, pressed some sage, chilled. Yeah.
Necessary.
Definitely.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So, let's talk about like your early childhood.
Mhm.
Um,
Let's jump right to it. So, my mom was in the military, so we moved around a lot. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. Was there till I was 3. Then eventually moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, and I was there for about 6 years. And then ended up moving to Honolulu, Hawaii, which was a huge shift when it comes to just like culture and also that age too, just transitioning and going from being on the mainland to an island. After that, we moved to the DMV area, and I was in Northern Virginia for about 2 years, and then ended up being in California for since I was 15. Now it's like what, 12 years? Yeah.
all in the Bay, or like where are you currently at? Where are you at
I'm
right
currently in Oakland. So I'm currently in Oakland. When I came here to California, I was actually in Dublin for a little bit, and then after that, I ended up going down to LA, and then came back up to the Bay.
now? Oakland's the place to be.
Oh, it is.
And then let's talk a little bit about like your career. How would you overview that? Like,
It's a good question. So I do like so much. How can I describe myself? I kind of came into the game, I guess you can say, going to art school in LA, then transferred back up to the Bay, focusing more on web design and interactive media. The goals of like wanting to either work for a fashion company or a publication, focusing more on web design, like digital design.
Yeah.
I ended up working with Gap a few months before I graduated art school. Then later on, left and started working with Universal Music Group. After that, worked with Cisco. Got picked up through a full-buy agency and ended up working with Apple. And then now I'm with Levi's. So I do like a lot of digital design work coming in from either like web, print, if it's like email based or things of that nature. And then I also do like a lot of photo direction when it comes to like head to toe, econ focus, lookbooks, editorials, and things of that nature.
Definitely. And then in regards of like a timeline from school to like now, what was that? What's the timeline there?
Yeah, I spent like 3 years in school. And then after that, Gap, I was there for about like 9 months. Worked at Universal Music Group for a few months, then jumped around. I went to Cisco for a year, working with that agency for 2.5 years. And now been with Levi's for about 2.5 years.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I want to backtrack a little. So, like, how was back to kind of like childhood? How was it being like a military child living in like Indiana, Hawaii, Virginia? Like, how did that shape you, along the way?
It definitely made me an introvert because like having to jump around so much and like I remember one time I went to one school in Hawaii for a week. My grades just like dropped. And it was so hard for me to like learn.
Yeah.
And then I went to one school for a day. Then my mom took me out. She took me to another school
Mm.
that like following day. So it was like a lot of like me trying to play just like catch up, and then also like me adapting to like a new environment and like a new place at like what 8 or 9. So it was like a lot of me trying to like go from the Midwest to Hawaii, which is still, it's a US state, but it felt
Yeah.
so different and foreign for me. Yeah.
How do you feel like that? Do you feel like that assisted you in creating community in different places, or do you feel like it affected you in the long run? And obviously, it would affect you, but in what way?
Yeah, it definitely still like shaped me just because I'm like such an introvert and me like
Mm.
make like new friends all the time.
Mm.
But it kind of like made me kind of tap into another side of myself, kind of made me more creative and more like
Interesting.
expressive in different avenues in different ways.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for me like moving around so much, I don't think I would have been so I guess honed in and aware of who I am and what I like and what I don't like. And
Right.
it wouldn't have pushed me to tap into like different parts of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
You were forced to befriend yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then going a little more forward from that, a little
Mm,
more recent, like college,
yeah.
how did you end up kind of choosing your career path? Because I'm sure you
Mm,
weren't born and you're like, I want to be a creative.
yeah, exactly.
Like, where did that come from?
For me, I would definitely have to say, yeah, it was MySpace. MySpace kind of like kicked a lot of things off for me, to be honest, because I was moving around so much and I was meeting so many different like military kids. Like when I was in Hawaii, you have to understand like you have people coming in that are Army kids, Navy kids, Marine kids, Coast Guard kids, things like that nature, Air Force kids. And a lot of people just like moving around. They're either like going to like Italy, Japan, going to Georgia, going to California, going to Chicago, wherever it may be. Um, and the best way for me at the time is to keep in touch with people were just MySpace. So keeping in contact with people there, but then also kind of like diving into it a little bit more and tapping into like using Photo Bucket to design stuff, to looking up like HTML to CSS to design my page and doing like a music like playlist loader thing and all this other stuff. So it really pushed me to like really explore and I stayed on top of it and I kept on doing it. And then I just kept it going. And then from there, I was always into it. And then when I went to high school, I started taking like multimedia classes and start like going to like all these like college little tours and stuff like that, asking questions and everything else. And then just decided to go into art school. Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
Um, so, and then you went to art school. Like, do you have any college tips in regards to that?
Yeah,
With some input.
definitely. I think I definitely like doing your research and understanding the school and understanding what program that you want to actually go into. I think the biggest thing is looking at how that program can actually help you out with getting a position. Um, like post grad is can be a really difficult time for like a lot of people, but it really depends on what courses you're taking. Networking is huge and key,
Mhm.
um, and I think networking and making friends and connections is like the biggest thing with school. A lot
Definitely.
of times, you can teach yourself certain things without a doubt, but it's always nice to have like an instructor or professor to really guide you.
Right.
Um, but it's really good to like have your connections there too. Something else I used to do when I was in college, I used to play. Well, one of my professors, she mentioned to us that we needed to interview someone that's working in a company that we
Mhm.
wouldn't work at or has a position that we would want in the future.
Yeah.
And so I would like on LinkedIn, hit up different people, interview them. And I started to see like this is a way for me to actually make connections. So I started to purposely hit up different like CEOs to art directors, senior designers, things of that nature, and just ask them questions and just pick their brain and use it as like, hey, this is a assignment for a class. These people love to talk about themselves.
No, definitely.
So I was like, sure, I just keep on doing this, and it just helped me out a lot. It made like a lot of connections, learned a lot about the industry. Kind of helped me out landing some gigs and stuff. So it was nice. Yeah,
It's great. Yeah, without connections, it's almost as if you're sitting in a boat without any paddles, right? No
exactly.
connections, there's still some motion, but they're necessary. I
Mhm.
agree. Um, so we talked a bit about like growth leading up and change leading up at the end of high school into college. So let's talk about like the growth that you experienced in college, right? You decided to go to art school, you're in it. Were there any shifts, any change, any lessons that you got in college?
Definitely. It really helped me like figuring out what I wanted and like finding myself within like design.
Mhm.
Understanding like what classes I actually wanted to take. If everything was just focusing on like web or focusing more on like front end development and back end development. If I really like wanted to lean into print design more or photography, being able to take all these classes and like really dive in and also still like have like my core major. I just like focusing on that, but then also diving into different places and seeing like what works best for me really helped me out a lot. Definitely.
Definitely.
I think being able to go to school is awesome, without a doubt. But then also just being able to take so many different classes and ask questions and explore and meet different people and just kind of figure out like what's good and what's not for me, like what will actually make me happy. So a huge part.
Beautiful. Yeah, I definitely consider you a multifaceted artist. And I think you just saying that kind of solidified that idea because you always kind of wonder like where folks like got that, where did they learn that? And it's just like you just dove into so many different things. So for you, do you feel like you don't have just that one thing, but it's like
Thank you so much.
things?
Yeah. Um, I think that might have like sparked something for me, but like I have like so many interests and I want to do so much. And like I think for me, I see the motivation, I see the potential in myself, and so I go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like regardless of it may be possibly like eating up my time or it being like semi-stressful. It's just nice for me personally to challenge myself. I look at it as like if I have all this motivation, like all this like will and drive to do something, I shouldn't just waste my talent and waste my time. I should definitely go.
Definitely.
So that's why I like to do so much. If it's like me designing t-shirts, posters, me doing photo shoots, me dropping a book, me designing shoes, me doing like whatever. It's just like I want to do it, so I'm gonna go for it. You know, it's just having that mentality of wanting more and doing better for yourself and pushing yourself, like really tapping into that drive within you. Because I feel like everyone has like the ambition. Everyone like has goals and dreams, and they want to
Yeah.
do something. It's just tapping into it and pushing forward and wanting to actually go for it. You know.
So in moments where you say get a little tired,
Mhm.
what brings you out of that so you can get back to that drive, that energy to like do?
I kind of like step back and go back into almost like I guess it is like a path of me kind of like finding myself and figuring out like what I want
Mm.
to do next. So it's either me like being a bookworm and just like reading for a little bit, and then during me like reading all these books, if it's like self help based or like reading books from like Dominico Ruiz to like kind of reading like autobiography like um Monster, Cody Scott, or whatever it may be, just like reading different novels or watching different things will kind of like inspire me to do more.
Yeah.
Or just like listen to other artists or seeing like what my peers are doing, it will kind of like spark something for me. Cause like when I see what my friends they're doing something, it's like, oh, this inspired me. So like, why can't I do it? Or like,
Yeah.
you know what, they're doing this and doing that. Like, it's kind of motivated me to push myself to do more. So seeing that and sometimes like relaxing and taking a step back and just like seeing what's happening or kind of checking in with myself or like
Mhm.
what do I want to do next? Like what is sparking my interest right now? Like what is something that I'm constantly looking at on like Tumblr or Pinterest or like on my personal mood boards? Like what is something that is standing out to me and like what do I want to do with it? You know?
Right. Yeah, it sounds like there's this constant of like in the past So we see it as like change, growth, and drive, and trying to learn more. And then even when you get to a certain point where you, say even months ago, wanted to be at where you're at now, is still at a point of like, okay, I still want to learn more, grow, change, create. But it's good that you have these like tools to like find your way back to it if you ever feel kind of like lethargic or not doing enough. But beautiful. And then so we talked about elementary and then like high school and then college. So in regards to like jobs and your current role, what kind of helps you get to your current role? Like what jobs do you feel like assisted you the most in like putting you where you're at right now?
Without a doubt. So me being with Levi's, been there for about 2.5 years. I would definitely say me working at Gap really helped me out
Mm,
because it's nice to have a fashion background. We're stepping into a fashion company. Also, just me being able to work with like clients such as like Universal Music Group and Apple and things of that nature. So having that in my portfolio was really great. Another thing too is just again networking. When I was in college, I met a friend who knew someone who works at Levi's, and we got in contact and we just stayed in touch. And he got me in contact with someone who was working in HR, and we just chit chat about possible internship, but it didn't work out. Then a few years later, she ended up reaching out to me about a role at Levi's. But a few months before that, I actually ended up shooting a social media campaign for Levi's Made and Crafted. Did really well, performed really well. Then a few months later, that person from HR hit me up, talked to me about a role, got it a few days later, and it's just I've been there ever since. So it's all about networking and just like pushing stuff out. I
yeah,
think that I can come in and design all these assets and lead a digital campaign, but then also I can step out of that and go to the studio and shoot a social media campaign for like new products and have it perform really, really well on social media. That really caught their eye too. So just being able to do all that stuff really helped me out with my current position.
definitely.
Really showing like what all you can do. It looks good. You know, if you can do more than just one thing, you can really perform and really do well at it. It's awesome.
I mean, it goes hand in hand. You're presenting the talent, you're showing the talent, showing that you're capable and more than capable. But you're showing that to the connections you've made throughout the years. And connections they're like, this is a good connection, but you never know like exactly the direction that it could take you.
Yeah.
So when you were like a year out of college, would you ever have suspected like, oh, I'm going to be working at Levi's?
No, it was like really scary at the time because like my mom was kind of like doubting me because it's art school and everything else. But things like there's really great companies out there, like Nike, Adidas, Levi's, like Apple, like everything else. They have roles for us. And then I think once like the push and kick of like UI design, UX design, product design, all these other positions came up, and how much they are in demand, especially in the Bay Area.
Right. Yeah.
LA too, different cities like New York and DC, everything else. There's a huge demand, and I wasn't expecting this at all,
Yeah.
to be honest. But
This is
just
why.
looking and driving and wanting to do more and just pushing yourself.
Yeah. That's
Definitely.
worth it. That's well
Yeah,
worth
that's
it.
right.
Good. So beautiful. That's beautiful. Through and through from childhood to where you're at now. It sounds like a progression. What so before we get into like what you're working on right now for your like side projects,
Yeah.
what was like the hardest moment for you?
I think the hardest moment for me, it might have been in this year. This year was definitely difficult for everyone.
Mm,
Um, I kind of stepped into this year with I think I started in maybe January or February, but I had a list of everything that I'll be dropping every single month.
right. Yeah.
So I came up with a whole entire like plan of like what I wanted to accomplish in 2020.
Mm,
Um, and I wanted to do t-shirts one month, do a puzzle, bags, do shoes, push myself to like do a photo book, do this, do that, model more, you know, kind of step outside my comfort zone and do like different design projects.
mm,
But with COVID and pandemic and everything else that's happening, made it like a bit difficult. So I think for me at one point I was practicing stillness, and stillness is something difficult for me because I'm always a person that's on the go.
Right.
I purposely stay busy and I put multiple projects on my plate just because I like to stay busy. I like to be active. I like to push myself. So having to sit myself down and like obey the rules of practicing stillness was a little bit
Right.
difficult for me. But it also helped me out with understanding what I wanted to do. And it kind of taught me how to like take my time, be patient, um, create a concept that's solid and that's strong, and being able to like really, I guess, thoroughly start a project from the beginning to end, and being
Yeah.
able to like push it through, know how I want it to look when it comes to the physical product, to like marketing, to what I want to work with also like what type of fabrics I want to work with, to all those type of things. It really kind of made me take my time with a lot of projects that I wanted to do. Yeah,
Definitely. And in regards to stillness, because at first it's like sort of just like, sit and like,
exactly.
what is stillness for you?
Stillness for me personally, um, just me like not being that active when it comes to creating projects. But during that time of me practicing stillness is also I'm still moving, even though I'm still in a way where like even though I'm not actively doing something in the back of my mind, me reading books or me taking these like long walks or me listening to like different podcasts and me watching different like foreign films, I'm like building stuff up in my head.
Yeah.
In the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I like this shot, or oh, I like what he's wearing or what she's wearing,
Yeah.
or like, oh, I like how the sun is hitting, I don't know, the lake. Little things like that. I'm like taking this all in. I'm like, I could probably do something with this.
You're providing fuel for the fire.
Exactly.
Such a Capricorn.
Very much a
Um,
cat.
so side projects, like,
Yes.
where's the direction? What's your direction?
That's a good question. I think a lot of like my direction comes from definitely like my childhood plays a part. If it's like me moving around so much and me kind of turning into an introvert,
Yeah.
or me growing up listening to like a lot of Sade or Nita Baker or Isaac Hayes,
Mm.
or me also living in so many different areas, like me going from Indiana to Hawaii to the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and like really kind of like getting kind of seeing like this whole entire change of fashion. Because when I was growing up there, everyone's like into New Balances, to North Faces, to Nike boots, and like really just like, oh, this is what's popping in like middle school and like high school. And then moving to the Bay and seeing like at that time what everyone was like wearing is totally different. But it kind of like pushed me to like understand like clothing, having an interest, and it just kind of like shaped me. And I
Yeah.
think for me, doing like all those photo shoots to like creating mood boards and watching different films and reading different books and seeing like how fashion looks in different cities in America to different cities outside of America, it kind of really shaped me. And it really helped me out when it comes to anything that I want to make. If it's a book, if it's clothing, things of that nature, I really would say for me, it's just me growing up and living in different places and seeing different
Yeah.
things, reading different books really like shaped me.
Yeah.
To,
And all of that had an effect on your like your side projects, right? In regards to like direction. And what about branding?
I'm an earth sign. I love my earth. So everything is like it's on the spectrum of it being like cream, khaki to like brown, olive. Like it's all that is there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we see it's like I see it in your photos, I see it in your book, you're definitely your puzzle.
Yeah,
It's one of
obviously.
my
Yeah,
favorite.
um, and all that stuff like the oversized clothes. I love like a lot of Japanese brands, and
Yeah.
then also me getting sick, me having that food poisoning, and
Mm.
me yeah reactive arthritis for what 6.5 months.
And
And kind of
that was forced stillness.
that was forced stillness, and that was how I got into making rings because I was
Mm.
at home, couldn't do anything. I
Yeah.
think people like may not know, but me eating a salad which had uncooked chicken in it led to me having very intense, very intense virus, which led to me getting reactive arthritis for like 6.5 months, which
Right.
made me sit and kind of figure out like what else I wanted to do, which kind of sparked me creating rings from recycled vintage spoons and
Yeah.
forks and things of that nature, is making like jewelry at home. And then
Yeah.
also kind of like changed up my style too, because everything was oversized and very comfy because I was battling that arthritis. Yeah. So a lot of things. Just it's life itself.
And I guess that answered another question of like how you found yourself through your side projects, right? Um, or how your life kind of like found your side projects for you, right? And all these like you took negativity and both like physical and emotional and just like created through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I definitely say like life plays its part in like a lot of my projects. I would say life is the art director and I'm just the person that's creating it. Like life is the vision, or life is the direction. I'm just kind of taking
Mhm.
what it's teaching me and creating it.
Mhm.
So understanding like what the lesson is and putting that out into a product or into like a project or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
throw it out.
Mhm. And yeah, and I think you proved so much. I think initially a lot of the folks who know you through Instagram is uh, Santana Bellas know you through your like photography, right? And now you're pushing a lot more of your design.
Yeah. It's been a
How does
minute.
that feel?
Say it again.
How does that feel?
It feels good because I was super shy about showing that for the longest. I think I won't say it was too shy, but I was designing so much at work, I kind of want to do more. If I'm sitting in front of a computer for like 8 hours a day, I kind of want to get out
Mhm.
and do something else.
Yeah.
So I think that's how I really got into photography, because I was shooting so much. I was tagging along with my friends and they were shooting so much. And one day I just like asked one of my friends, like, "Hey, I want to shoot. What type of camera should I work with?" He's like, "Get a Contax
Right.
T2. It's the best camera."
Mhm.
Luckily, that same day we hop on Craigslist and someone was selling it for $400. Yeah, and
Yeah,
camera
after
now 1200, maybe
that.
1400. And I got it and it worked, and it's kept on using that camera, and it got me placed in a lot of places. Got my work all over the globe.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So yeah, it just that's how it happened. I
Yeah.
kind of kept on doing it as like a therapeutic thing. Because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I can actually do a lot of cool stuff with this.
Yeah.
Like I shot you for DC shoes, or like
Mhm.
I could shoot some stuff for Levi's, or shoot some stuff for like a publication. Get placed in different magazines, or get my stuff shown overseas in Europe at a gallery and stuff like that. And it just took me places, and I was
Yeah.
just going with the flow.
Yeah. So we're living at an interesting and tumultuous time, but uh, how are you navigating like work and life?
For me, I've been working from home for about I've been working from home since March, which is pro and a con. It's nice, like being able to just be at home, roll out of bed, work on some stuff, relax, not stress out about hopping on the train and like battling to like get on the train.
Yeah.
Very, very important. So um, that's something nice. But then also, I would say it's kind of rough at times at trying to. The biggest thing is trying to stay in contact with folks. It's like a lot
Mhm.
of like FaceTime dates with folks and just catching up.
Yeah.
Little things like even like playing dominoes with one of my friends on the app, just so we can keep in contact and just some type of engagement, because like we're trying to figure out what can we do to kind of get engaged with each other and keep in contact.
Yeah.
Like we get tired of the memes after a while, so it's like, what else can we do?
The memes and a game of pool on your iPhone. Um, so with that work home, um, how do you find time to like love yourself? What do you do for self love, and perhaps from there the love for others, friends, family?
I think spending time alone is really nice, and being able to like
Mm.
step away from it all.
Yeah.
Reading, cooking for myself, taking walks, relaxing, sleeping is very important. So I do work a lot. So making time to take a nap or just like turn my phone off is very important for me. I think when it comes to making time for others, like me, my mom, my sister, we started like this group chat and we talk every single day. So we drop like pictures of the dogs to like my niece and nephew. Like my sister, she's a VP at a middle school and they put a prank on her and like recently it was hella funny and she like sent us videos of that. It's like it's engagement. I'll drop like photos of what I'm working on. My mom will be like, "Oh, look at the property." She's like, "Oh, I cleaned up the property and brought in some trees or whatever." My
Yeah.
sister's like, "Oh, kids." It's just us staying engaged and always talking and checking in every day. Like we always drop a good morning text in the morning
Beautiful.
before 10 o'clock. If we don't, then it's like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
But we always stay like engaged. And then when it comes to like friends and keeping that up, it's just texting people, making time to do FaceTime check-ins and just like texting folks and see how they're doing. Um, Virtual hangouts to coffee dates, walk around the lake, stuff like that. There's things we can do. Yeah,
Mailing stuff to one another.
exactly, exactly. I actually have a friend that she is going to start writing letters and sending artwork to her friends at random. Yeah, which is super sweet.
That's so sweet. There was actually, I can't remember the decade, but there was a movement where artists would mail each other their work. They would just send each other random like drawings,
Mhm,
prints,
mhm.
portraits, like you name it, they would just like send it to each other.
Yeah,
Like if you sent me something, I'd
mhm,
have to send something in return, but it has to be art, you
yeah.
know. So that's dumb. Let's find the resurgence. Um, the year's coming to an end. Um, I don't even remember 2020. I'm sure I'm gonna forget about it, put it into a dark pocket. Um, but how do you plan on ending it? And do you have any projects coming up?
Mhm. I'm planning on hopefully like ending everything on a really strong note.
Mm,
I've been working, collecting all of my old photos I've taken for the past maybe like 5 or 6 years.
yeah,
And also taking some new photos. I was out of the state for a bit,
yeah.
family, and kind of like making a book showing all the photos that I've taken over the past 5 to 6 years that actually shaped me and helped me out with figuring out who I am
Mhm.
out of like life when it comes to like my design projects to photography and putting that all together in a book and shameless plug.
That's
But
what I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
so I've been working on a book, making like a limited edition book, Find Yourself First, of just all these projects that I worked on, like all these photo projects and like the best
Mhm.
photos I've taken from these projects and shoots and putting them together in one book and kind of like presenting it to the world as like this is like my best work over the past 6 years. And so the work is released, some of it is unreleased. And it's super nice. And so I have that coming out later on this month, dropping some
Beautiful.
stuff everywhere. They provided the shirts, and all their shirts are made out of 100% recycled cotton. So again, all that stuff situated and hoping to drop that at the end of this month and
Mm,
let that book ride out to the end of the year and maybe the next year, and hopefully dropping something else maybe early spring
yeah.
next year. Yeah.
So you have this like broad body and collection of like photo work. How do you decide like what
Mm.
to put in it? You know?
They like it depends on photos that felt really I like my work sometimes is like super moody.
Mm,
I use like a lot of Portrait 400, so it feels kind of like
yeah.
the tones are definitely there, kind of like murky at times too. I love playing around like with lighting and everything else. So a lot of the photos they have like weight where it kind of speaks to a perspective of like moodiness, but then also like kind of it says a lot without doing a lot. Uh-oh, sorry about that. But there we go. But that's like super important for me. So a lot of the photos I'm including are just definitely work that has come in and helped me out with figuring out who I am.
Mm.
Like shoots and like what story it tells, what type of mood that it actually gives to.
So is your book title, the cover, is that, I mean, it sounds like it's derived from a culmination of kind of like a lot of what you've experienced. Like you've just been just trying to like find yourself first, but is it also like a reminder to yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely like it's definitely like we're always finding ourselves. You're learning so much about yourself. I think there's like this, I won't even call it like a theory because it's technically it's true. It's this idea that every 7 years you're like a new person because everything changes from like your like mentally and physically. Like you just change. So you change from like being 7, 14, 21.
Yeah.
Like you change during these times. So it's just me finding out who I am and what I like, what I don't like, what I want to achieve, and things like that. And then also that idea of like a quote from Rumi is "Go find yourself first, so you can find me." It
Mm.
just takes a lot of just understanding who you are before you pursue something else. You know, yeah.
Repeat that quote one more time.
Go find yourself first, so you can find me.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. Rumi. Um, Beautiful. And so what do you have planned for 2021?
I'm hoping to drop some clothes.
Yes.
So I'm really working on designing some bucket hats. Getting a sweatshirt situated, and also some trousers.
Mm.
Working on creating a body bag that is like made to hold books only. So
Interesting.
I have like some stuff in mind.
Yeah.
But that's that's it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. We can't wait. And there was, it's interesting because 2021, so specifically 21, and you just mentioned 777 to,
We'll see what happens.
should be a good year. Yeah.
It should be.
Let's be
Hopefully.
hopeful. Um, I mean, do you have anything else you wanna share, spread, any advice?
Push yourself to do more. I feel like
Yeah.
we have like a lot of ambition, and during this time, what I've noticed for a lot of artists, um, for some people it's very difficult. I do understand that. And then also, I've seen other people really tap in and like go off because
Yeah.
like they have time, or like they're like really like realizing what they want to do, and they've been like practicing stillness
Yeah.
and producing really good work, and just push yourself.
Definitely. Definitely. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it. Take that leap. Cool. Well, I suppose those are all the questions I like wanted to ask. Um, thank you for this. I'm assuming people are watching.
Yeah.
My name's Vartan. This is a good friend of mine, Santana Bellas, multifaceted artist, and brilliant human being that I feel fortunate to call my friend. So this was fun. I learned a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is awesome.
sweet.
Alrighty.
This is where we say bye.
Goodbye to you.